All right, let's kick things off with the big snowstorm that slammed into the northeast United States today, where some places will be getting up to 24 inches of snow. In fact, there was so much snow in New York that we couldn't go anywhere and we had to stay home all day. It was crazy. But while the sunny West Coast doesn't have to worry about snow, California is having some scary weather-related problems of its own.
Amazing new drone video shows where a chunk of California's scenic Highway 1 collapsed after heavy rainstorms last week. Both lanes near Big Sur washed down into the Pacific Ocean. That landslide left a massive gap in the highway and a deep ravine littered with fallen trees. Thankfully, nobody was hurt there. Transportation officials have no estimate of how long it might take to actually fix that. Merchants say that collapse just another major blow to the area's tourism industry.
Nah, man. If anything, I think a big hole like that is gonna help the tourism industry. I mean, just look at the Grand Canyon. They were gonna patch that up years ago, but it's so popular that they've never even bothered. Now, luckily, nobody was on this road when it collapsed. But they do have to fix this road ASAP because since we all have GPS now, I don't know how obvious that hole is gonna be, right? People are just gonna be like, I mean, yeah, it looks like a hole, but Google says we should just go straight, so... I mean, what's the worst that could happen? And this does look scary. But you know who did enjoy it? That panda from the National Zoo. Aww. If only we all looked that adorable plunging to our deaths. Let's move on now to the coronavirus pandemic. The only thing with more mutations than Rudy Giuliani. The big issue right now is getting people vaccinated as quickly as possible. And now there's yet another thing making that harder than it should be. Assholes.
The Los Angeles Times says dozens of anti-vaccination protesters disrupted operations at one of the largest vaccine sites in the country. They blocked entrances and forced the inoculation center at Dodger Stadium to close for about an hour Saturday. Hundreds of people waited in their cars to get shots. Some city officials are calling for increased security at testing and vaccination locations.
Whoa. These people in LA had to sit in their cars for an hour. How did they notice? But on the real though, what the fuck, anti-vaxxers? If you don't want a vaccine, then don't get one. I don't agree with you, but don't ruin it for everyone else. Like, we don't come interrupt you when you're busy dying of measles. Because here's what I don't understand. Why does it always have to be the most ridiculous people who are the most fired up? Like, why can't anti-vaxxers be like those Instagram models were last summer? You know, where they just post a black square on Instagram for one day and then never bring up vaccines again. But let's move on now to international news. 10 years ago, the country of Myanmar emerged from a half-century of military rule to transition to civilian government. But yesterday, the military apparently decided that they liked it better the old way.
Breaking overnight, developments in Myanmar, the country formerly known as Burma. This morning, the military there announced that it took control of the country in a coup against the democratically elected government. It detained several politicians, including the country's civilian leader, Nobel Peace Prize laureate Aung San Suu Kyi. The raids came hours before a new session of parliament was scheduled to open, and members who won the November elections were set to take their seats. The military alleges voter fraud in the November election.
Oh man, Trump must be kicking himself right now. I don't know why I didn't think about using the military. Can I have a coup over? And here's the thing, I know it's sometimes hard to get Americans to care about another country's politics. So if Myanmar wants to get the US to pay attention, they should change the country's name again. This time to the Capitol Building. Yeah, because if Americans heard that there was a coup at the Capitol Building, then they'd at least care about that for like 2 weeks. But I am hoping for the best for the people of Myanmar. And what this shows us is that maintaining a civilian-led democracy isn't easy and can't be taken for granted. When you think about it, civilians controlling the military is an amazing accomplishment in the first place, because the military has way more power. You know, it's like the political equivalent of having a pet T-Rex. What did I say about jumping on the couch? Bad Rex! Bad Rex!